Hey everyone, Erica here with Crafts Direct, and today I want to do a fun and quick little silhouette tutorial. So I am making this project using the Silhouette Cameo machine, and I am going to show you how to use their software. So if you download Silhouette Studio, I'll show you how to trace, how to shadow, and then how to arrange your paper so you can cut all of your shapes out on one page. So you only have to run the mat through your machine one time. So follow along and I'll show you how to do all of those techniques. If you already know how to use the Silhouette and just want to create this fun little project, I have got the SVG file linked up at craftsdirect.com and go over to the Projects tab. So let me walk you through a quick and easy tutorial of how to use the Silhouette machine.
To start out, I have a file pre-saved as a PNG, and that's the one I want to bring into Silhouette Studio. So I'm going to go to File, Merge, find my file that is on my computer and hit OK. And there you can see I have my file in Silhouette Studio now. Now we're ready to start tracing these items. So go to that right column on your computer, find the one that when you hover over it, it says Open the Trace panel. You'll click the section that says Select Trace Area, and then you'll draw a box around the item that you want to trace. I typically do these as individual shapes instead of doing all 4 shapes at the same time. I just have better luck that way. Once the shape you want is highlighted in yellow, then you can go back over to the panel and hit Trace, and that will trace around everything that is in yellow. When I'm picking out images that I want to use with Silhouette Studio, I typically try and keep them bold colors and single colors, so something that's easy to trace that it'll know exactly where I want it traced. Once you're done tracing all of your main items, I usually move my original JPEG that I merged into the Silhouette Studio off to the side, and then I go in and do my more detailed pieces. So here you can see me working on the stethoscope. I'm wanting the earpieces traced, as well as the middle section of the stethoscope and that little circle on the bottom. If you're having a hard time getting it to select what you are wanting, you can move around the threshold, high pass, and scale. You can move those back and forth until you see it highlighting exactly what you want. And as you can see, just to stay organized, I keep clicking and dragging things over, grouping similar things together, so I'm keeping all of my stethoscope pieces together. Eventually I'll move on to working with my Band-Aid, so I know that all of my images are together for one specific shape. One thing I personally like to do is change the color of the objects, so when I go to map out where my pieces of paper for each color are going to be, it's easier for me to see which colors I have. To do this, you just select the image you want. You'll go to that right column again, you'll see a paint palette looking icon. And that is where you can click on the color you want. So you'll see I did it with the stethoscope, and now I'll start doing it with the Band-Aid. And because I want the Band-Aid to be 2 different colors, I am making a copy of the Band-Aid, and then I will right-click and go down to Release Compound Path, and that's going to allow me to move all the pieces and separate them from each other. So my goal is to create one part of the Band-Aid that's the background Band-Aid, and then have another part of the Band-Aid that is that rectangle that goes on the top. And that'll allow me to do 2 different colors for the Band-Aid. And then since that Band-Aid has so many little circles in it, I am just going to select everything that's a part of that Band-Aid, right-click, and group it all together so I don't end up losing pieces of the Band-Aid. And then I can just remove all of the extra pieces since I have both of the colors laid out for my Band-Aid already. I will move on and continue to do the same thing. So if there are items that I want 2 different colors on the item for, I make a copy of it, then I release the compound path to separate the pieces of it, and then I map it out. And then I will change the colors. Once I'm done changing the colors, I do like to layer them on top of each other again just to make sure I didn't accidentally adjust the sizes. I want to make sure everything still fits. So sometimes when I move those pieces around, I'll have to right click and adjust if it needs to be brought forward or backwards just so I can see everything that's going on. also want my bag to have the word thanks on it, so along the left side of the screen, I'm going to go where you see the letter A, click on that. It'll open up a text box. You can type your word in there. Then you're going to click on the word that you just typed, go to the right side of the screen where you see the letter A, and then that is where you can adjust the font. So I picked a Scripty Magnolia Sky font because I want everything to be cut out as one word. And then I thought it was a little bit too tight together and I wanted to space out each of those letters. So in that same screen, it shows character spacing, and I'm just going to increase the character spacing. Next, I'm going to go to the right side of the screen and find where it says Open Modify Panel. Click on that, and I will hit Weld, and that is going to make all the letters be cut out as one piece instead of individual letters. And then I went back and changed my color just so I knew what color I was going to be cutting it out as. I also want my bag to have a tag on it, so I could have chosen to go online and found a tag and merged it into the folder, but I wanted to show you how you can create your own shapes. So along the left side of the panel, I went to the column where it says Draw a Rectangle. I drew a rectangle on my screen, then I'm going to add a polygon on top of it, move it to the top of the rectangle till it looks like the shape of a tag. And then I'll go back over to the right side of the screen where it says Open Modify Panel. And once I've got everything sized the way I want it to, then I will weld those two together so it cuts out as one shape. Then the only thing left for my tag that I need is a little circle for the ribbon to go through. So I'll go back to the left side of my screen, draw a circle, and place it where I want it to be in the tag. And then once I've got all of my pieces for the tag laid out, I'm going to highlight all of them, right click on it, and then group it so those will stay together. On my tag I wanted to say Number 1 Nurse, so I am again adding a word. So along the left side of the screen I am picking the A so it opens up a text box. I'm typing my phrase into it, clicking on the phrase, and then going to the right side of the screen where it has the letter A, choosing my font, and then I can resize it and put it inside the tag to make sure it fits. Since the font I chose is so thin and I knew that gluing down each individual letter would be very complicated, I decided to create another tag and have one tag without the words on it be white, and then the other tag with the words on it would be gray, and so it would just cut out the letters and then I would mat it in the background. So it would make it a little bit easier for me at the end. Since I knew I was putting this on a bag, one thing I like to do is merge a picture of the bag into Silhouette Studio, adjust the size so it's the exact size of the bag. One thing to make the resizing go a little bit smoother is to make the grids appear on your mat. So you'll do this by clicking that top right button that says Page Setup and check the box that says Show Grid. And then I lay everything out and resize it on that bag digitally just to make sure everything is the right size before I cut it. Once I've got everything laid out on the bag, then I make a copy of everything and I'm going to group things according to color. So the thanks, the back of the nurse tag, the front of the nurse hat, and the earpieces are all black. So I'm going to put those in one section of my mat, and then I'm going to do it with everything that I want to be the same colors. And I'm just going to put them in different corners of the mat, so then when I go to cut everything, I only have to load one mat with all the different pieces of paper on it. So you'll see a black section in the upper left-hand corner of my screen. I'm going to do everything that I want cut out in white on the right top corner of my screen, and then I'll do the same with the red, the gray, and then the Band-Aid colors that I choose. We are almost ready to start cutting our shapes. We just have to map out our pieces of paper on our cutting mat. So I am looking at my file on my computer, I'm counting the squares on the grids to know what size papers I need to make, and then I'm laying it out exactly the same way on my Silhouette mat. Once I'm ready, I can load it into my machine, go back to my computer. In the top right of the computer screen, you'll hit Send. Under Material, I am picking a heavy cardstock setting just because I know one of my pieces of paper is really thick. Depending on the version of the Silhouette machine you have, it may either adjust the blade for you or you have to do it manually, and then you'll hit send and then it will cut out all the shapes that you had on your screen. Once I saw everything cut out, I didn't think the word thanks stood out quite enough, so I went back to my computer, moved all of the images off of the mat, I copied the word thanks, and then I decided to offset it. So I clicked on the word thanks, I went back to that column along the right side, I found the open offset panel, and then I clicked the word offset, and I left it at its default option, and then I hit apply. Then I just went back and moved the word thanks, and I cut this word that was left offset out of white paper. And this just helped make it stand out a little bit better on the bag. Now all that was left was to remove everything from the mat, glue it all together, and adhere it to the bag. So some of the tools I used to do this were a tweezers and a glue pen, and this works really well to help handle and glue down those small pieces. I also chose to add a piece of paper to the bottom of the bag just for a little extra decoration, and I hung the tag with a little bit of rickrack ribbon. So you'll see me assembling all of the pieces, sticking them to the bag, and then you just get to fill the bag with some goodies for your favorite nurse to show them that you care.
You can find all the supplies to make this project at craftsdirect.com and go over to our projects tab.